in here today, although we are in Hammarsdale. There's plenty of the township folk around here as Buddy Kanyeza goes off back to his bench to try and orchestrate things in favour of the home side here, who are Abafana Bestende. There is Dan Malisela, regular smile on his face. Not to see Duncan Lechesa back alongside of Dan Malisela, just left the Venda Football Club in the first division a couple of days ago, and pops up here at Marumo Gallants, and I think Dan Malisela would have had a say in that, no doubt, because those two get on quite well, don't they?
You know, there are young coaches that obviously are still aspiring to do great in as far as their football careers are concerned at the coaching level, and they're coming together, sharing the same concept and philosophy. That would be wonderful for Marumo Gallants.
Our match referee today is Mr. Cedric Muvali, with Khara Mokwena and Elfas Sitole, the assistant referees. Bulabendao Jobela is the fourth official. Both of the captains wearing the number 5 jersey today. Gledwin Chitolo, the 35-year-old veteran, former Platinum Stars and Orlando Pirates defensive midfielder, comes centre-back. He's the Golden Arrows goalkeeper, captain for the day. And alongside of him is Diala Edgar Manaka, who is also 35 years old, formerly played at Lamontville Golden Arrows, and then had a spell as well at Polokwane City and Chukuma, before Chukuma bought the status of Marumo Gallants. There is Diala Manaka. He'll play in the pocket today, while Gladwin Chitolo will play at centre-back. And clearly Marumo Gallants will be playing in the white strip today, with a little bit of a trim of green around the collar and the sleeve. Now, we are going to have a moment of silence before this match gets underway. I know there was a funeral earlier this week, but we do mourn the passing of the former Minister, Pravin Gordhan. Pravin Gordhan, with a massive contribution that he made to the South African public space in his various ministries, and may his soul rest in peace. So round 2 of the DStv Premiership. Other matches today: Magesi against Polokwane City in a Limpopo derby. Magesi newly promoted from the First Division. SuperSport United, Royal AM a bit later on today. Chipper United will play in East London against Richards Bay FC at 7:30 this evening at the Buffalo City Municipality Stadium, which has been revamped, and I'm very happy to hear that, having been born in Imondi. So yeah, well done to all the folk down there. We're underway then at Mpumalanga Stadium in Hammarsdale. Abafana Bestende, in their traditional colours of green and yellow, will attack the goal to the left-hand side of your screen, while Marumo Gallants in all white will play from left to right. Great to have you with us on your World of Champions this afternoon. William Shongwe and myself will try and entertain you as best possible.
And of course, we'll need a little bit from the players themselves to give us something to talk about. But when there's not much happening, like Kevin is saying, we'll try our best. But certainly it is a game worth watching because of the different aspects that both teams do bring in. For me, it's the short passing game that they all love, the intensity which is they play through the middle, and so it'll be a question of how tactically aware is the opposition when the other is having ball possession.
Sibia gets his first touch of the season, and Marumo Gallants looking quite entertaining. Yes, you're quite right. I mean, all the way days back from Dan Malisela. Remember when he was coaching at Garankuyu United, who became United FC, and then he moved on, and how many clubs has he coached at, Dan Malisela? But in the Premier League, he's in his 140th match in charge of a team. 44 wins, 44 draws, 51 losses. He's got a -3 goal difference. He'll have to change that today and pick up his first points back in the Premier League.
But what you like about him is that, for me, from what I've seen in the past, and his game as a coach keeps changing. It's getting better and better. He's a coach that likes to play from the back, interchanging passes, but now he's changed. His team can play without the ball, unlike in the past where he can only play when his team was in possession of the ball.
Yeah, he does like the short passing game. Both of these sides doing that, as there's no space available on this near side for the left back, former Utongati player Sponela Tele. I'm very happy to see the confidence and why not from Budi Kanyeza to keep an unchanged starting lineup coming into this one.
If it ain't broken, don't change it.
Yo. Kamala Maflatsi, 36-year-old from Chip United player, but prior to that, Swallows and Kaizer Chiefs. He's got a big effort that he's got to put in on the left-hand side here today. The same for Tapelo Gluglu out wide on the right. Happy
to see Tlapo as well back on the right full-back position for Marumo.
Absolutely.
Another well-travelled player that has featured just about most of the teams in 14, which includes Cosmos, Beatvest, Supersport.
Now, we were talking in the car as well on the way from a hotel up here to Hammarsdale. There's a nice little breakaway here from Marumo Gallants. Siyabulela Shai. You know, looking at Siyabulela Shai, he was released by Sekakuni United just recently, but I think he's promised more than he's delivered. I think there's a lot of quality about Siyabulela Shai, whether he hasn't had the opportunity or hasn't really applied himself as much as he might have. There's more to Siyabulela Shai than we've seen, I think, in his career.
Honestly, without a doubt, I've always believed that he has the quality. I think he's played for Coach Dan Malesela in so many of the teams. The coach believes in him highly, and which is why he's taking him wherever he has gone. Today, playing a little bit more forward, unlike in the past where he would have played as a more attacking midfielder like the number 10. But today, thrown in the deep end of the attack.
Referee just having a chat to a couple of players, including Machiani. A little bit of foul play alongside of Siyabulela Shai. Touch inside by Klaus Hazwani. Played in the first division with JDR Stars and the University of Pretoria Tuks. Finds himself in the Premier League here with Abafana Bestende, and top of the table for that matter. I'm sure the players are absolutely loving hearing top of the table, my goodness me. About sustaining it though, only another 29 matches, William, until the end of the season.
Unfortunately, that's the sad one. You'll do well just to take a picture and frame it, and just for your kids to know that the team that played for once was once a leader on the table of the Premier League of South Africa.
Melody Sundowns, Landed Pirates, and Stellenbosch FC, and not playing this weekend because of CAF considerations. There are only these 4 matches. No matches in the Betway Premiership tomorrow. There will be a match in the Motepe Foundation Championship, and they'll be back in action on Heritage Day on Tuesday and Wednesday with a full round of matches. So there's a very good opportunity for the Golden Arrows to stay top of the table until at least Tuesday.
The only maybe one snag that they do have ahead of this game is that they played in midweek, and they've only had 2 days when you bring in the traveling. There's not much in between as far as recovery, unlike Marumo Gallants, who've had a whole week of rest and preparation. But Dan was talking about some of the challenges they had coming here early, only to find that there's so much rain that they couldn't train that well.
Good story. First corner kick of the match then. Abafana Bestende. Dedwin Shitolo waiting. Back post, there was an opportunity as well for Tabani Zuke, who I'm very pleased to see playing football again, and the corner won by Mantiani.
Yeah, Zuke, man, what a worker, what a workaholic. Can play as a defensive midfielder, but can also play in the center of defense. And the workaholic, like I said, to really run things, slows down the opposition, breaks them down, and forever presence in the Arrows camp, except for last season, of course, with a lot of injuries.
Successive corners then for Abafana Bestende. There's Daniel Akpe, the Nigerian goalkeeper, formerly from Chiefs and from Morocco Swallows.
Chipa United, you can add.
Okay, 3 corners in a row. Referee again strictly going over and chatting to a couple of players, and captain's armband seems to have come undone from Gladwin Chitolo, who seems to have a lot of complaints about what's going on. Ola Mlambo with a big smile on his face. Alongside of him there was also Siyabonga Klapo, the very experienced right-sided fullback. So a little bit of gamesmanship and knocking about from both teams in that penalty area. They stay on the attack though. Nice attack to that near post.
Another corner.
That was really good work done by Keenan Phillips, the former SuperSport United fullback. Popped over to Morocco Swallows before they stayed with support here by Marumo Gallants. 4 corners in a row. Make it 5. Not sure if I've seen 5 corners in a row for a long time in the South African Betway Premiership.
This normally happens around the towards the end of the game in the second half, whereby the team is like sitting and just defending a goal or a lead of some sort, but not like beginning of the game like it's happening right now.
Good pressure from Abudi Kanyeza's side. Siandan Tanti scored the opening goal for Bafana Bastille this season and punched away by Daniel Ekpe. It's a good acquisition for Dan Malesela. I think they'll maybe finally be able to clear the lines. Nice touching there by Sekele Sitole. He's also got 1 goal to his credit this campaign. Not a bad way to start with a goal against Chiefs, I suppose.
Indeed, but once again, once Dan's team got hold of the ball and how they nicely came out, but gave ball position away through a misplaced pass, which I'm sure we're going to see quite a lot of them due to the weather conditions.
So why the referees pointing to Siyabonga and Klapo in that manner. The ball turned over here by Marumo Gallants. As we said, both sides are ball-playing outfits. Good possession again by Ola Mlambo. We spoke about the integral role that he has to play today. Ball stabbed away by Diola Manaka. Knocks Mutiswa. Oh, it's a lovely ball through the middle. Onside! Running out of space was Ntutuzi Zipia. Nobody there where there was most needed, and that was probably near the penalty spot. And I think Daniel Ekpe will breathe a sigh of relief. But this is good pressure from Arrows.
Excellent goalkeeping. Once again, remember, if Daniel Ekpe decides to wait for the ball to come to him, you know for sure when it hits the ground he's going to ski. So rather be there when it bounces off before it plays any trick on you.
The playing conditions are a little bit wet and soggy. Malesela arms away from the side of his body, questioning maybe a decision from his own players, let alone that from the referee. I know he was a little bit outspoken about the refereeing and questioning potentially the fitness of the referees at the start of the season. We'll just leave it there. Lutlu, it's a good ball, punched away by Edward Mayoba. And Diola Manaka trying a Nandile Charlie effort. What a cracker that was, wasn't it? Chipper United against Pirates.
Wow.
Incredible shot from Nandile Charlie.
Listen, the power behind the ball from Manaka was excellent, but obviously the ball just kept rising. I like that of Charlie. It just stayed true towards the goal, not moving down or up. I mean, it was just one of those rare shots that we hit the sweet spot like never before.
Incredible to have the goal of the season in the opening match of the campaign, but there's a lot to live up to as far as the strikers are concerned to match that Charlie effort. And I'll tell you what, Manaka set himself up for something similar, didn't have the same quality in the result. Away by Zuke. This is Phillips. Nice bit of skill available here as well. Ntutuzi Zipia and company, nice pullback as well from Tele.
ball position-based two teams. This time around, for now, it looks like Arrows are dominating that middle. And it'll be nice to see what the possession stats says. Because I know at some stage Chippa as well has also pulled a few strings themselves in as far as showing their quality when it comes to possession of the ball.
Phillips inside to Tabani Zuke. Swept forward nicely by Mhlapo. Oh, space on goal here, brought down by the keeper. Oh, simulation, I think, because the referee's gone to the pocket. And there's a little bit of a standoff there. His teammates have to come and rescue him away from that situation.
I would like to see that one. Just how much of a simulation did Stule pull there for the ref to quickly go? First, when he blew it, initially I thought he was blowing for a penalty. But now it'll be nice to see just how was it turned away from being a set piece in favor of Marumo. Now, gets it away from the goalkeeper. Oh, daylight. Not the slightest of touches from what I said, or maybe the last leg or something. He managed to evade that one as well.
I'm not sure there was any contact from Edward Mayova.
I guess in his effort to try and avoid contact with the goalkeeper, he lost balance. Maybe that's what happened.
Unfortunately, the card of the match then to the man who scored against Kaizer Chiefs just a week ago.
Having made this kind of an appeal by Stole, I wonder what would he say when he sits at home and watches it, just to see that he was clear. But what I'm not too sure of as well, is it diving, or is it just appealing that I didn't dive, I just lost balance as I was trying to avoid the goalkeeper? There's an argument there.
Yeah, I think it's probably a momentum thing and a change of direction in slippery conditions. Nonetheless, we continue. Tadenji Tolo, such an important role to play in that central defensive role. Menzi Masuku wide on the right-hand side as well in support of Mtanti.
Chitolo is another one that has travelled all round. Originally from Jomo Cosmos himself, and he spent some time at Pirates before coming to Golden Arms.
Mabocha taking a little bit of a knock. He's a good player as well and has played under Malasela before as well. Chakuma Sekakuni United, and most recently with Magesi FC, the newcomers to the Betway Premiership from the Motepe Foundation Championship. Kamahela Makhlati, 36 years old now. Swallows and Chiefs man before he joined Chippa United. Phillips was with Supersport United before he joined Swallows, and Swallows are no more, just as Wits were no more, and the South African history of football clubs and the changes and purchases and statuses and are bought and sold all over the place is an interesting one.
Explains the challenges of running a professional team at this level. It's very costly, even regardless of the grant that comes. I can imagine those other countries that don't even have a grant, how tough it is.
But it's quite interesting, you know, if you look at the history of Marumo Gallants, because don't forget Chakuma, who were relegated from the Motepe Foundation Championship last season, had sold their status to Marumo, but that status that they'd bought was the status of Bidvest Wits. And then you get Chakuma buying that status. There's an intervention from Mayova. They then sell to Marumo Gallants, who then go and buy the status of Morocco Swallows. And Wits and Swallows, two massive brands in South African football, boom, like that, to basically the same club.
Yeah,
it's quite incredible.
Amazing. Well, I guess you can be glad that it's happening right before your eyes, and other people will ask and will Google it. You don't have to do that.
think Phillips is going to be called into the office here by Mr. Muvali. It's an interesting little battle going on there between Keenan Phillips particularly and Lebogang Mabocha, both in fullback roles but on the opposite side of it, and therefore coming against each other every now and again. Sitole trying to make a breakaway, free kick to Marumo Gallants.
Shy, clearly hacked from behind. And I guess the pressure that comes with being a Shy is your father's role in South African football.
Huge.
Who featured for Mamelodi Sundowns in his past. A great midfielder. I think he also featured for the Final. So that is hanging over his head with the high expectations as far as what he can produce himself.
Well, we saw 5 corners in a row for Le Bon for Golden Arrows. This is one of the few set pieces early on here for Marumo Gallants. 20-minute mark in the first half in Mpumalanga. Arrows 0, Marumo Gallants 0.
Or maybe state clearly in Mpumalanga Stadium, because we think, are we in Mpumalanga?
Yeah, in Mpumalanga Stadium, but no, we're in Hammarsdale. It's a good header, it comes off the post! Lucky let off for Edward Mayova. Hasn't conceded a goal this season. Has only been a match in 20 minutes, and nicely tidied up there as well by Lebogang Mabocha. Dludlu. Nice little ball outside here to the right-sided fullback and Slapo. Good tidying up as well by Arrows. Sitole. Manaka. Team settling down and providing us with some good action here, William.
Now, a little bit of to see who got that header in there that nearly got Maova beaten, but scrambles across, doesn't get to it. The upright comes to his rescue.
Vusi Sipia started his career at Barocca, went down to Stellenbosch and actually made a name for himself at Stellenbosch FC, and that's a really, really good header from the 30-year-old. It's been so hard to, when you've bought a status and now you've got to try and reorganize the team. You've come from the first division, Dan Malasela and Marumo Gallants, from the Motepe Foundation Championship. You drop yourself into the Premier League and all of a sudden the whole thing just changes. And he's brought in players from all over the place, and apparently there's a massive squad there that still has to be trimmed down, I would imagine, a little bit. I can't imagine that they'll be able to carry that salary ball for too much longer than now. But Marumo Gallants doing a good job of things at the moment. But yeah, it's a tough one, getting a whole bunch of new players together and having to consolidate that into a team playing in the Betway Premier League, the highest league in the country.
Very difficult indeed, and I think from what we've seen of last week's game against Chiefs, Dan has done exceptionally well to try and obviously put together a team that can come out and play competitively.
Gallants starting to apply a lot of pressure here. This is Sekela Sitole. It's waiting for the runners. They haven't come yet. Just late supply up the left-hand side and a miscue from Siyabongo and Klapo. Ball still not out of play yet. Sabia got a touch in there. Phillips trying to tidy up. Masuku got a touch. Clearance eventually comes from Shitolo. Tight defence on the halfway line by Marumo Gallants. And I reckon could have been an offside flag if the players had chased.
Yeah, Mutwiza in particular.
Yeah,
Mutwiza, I think, started off a little bit too early. There he is, straying ahead of the rest of the action, or the rest of the line.
First ball down to Tlutlu from Shai. Anybody's match really at the moment. Nice little ball inside here to Sekela Sitole. Good dink over the top as well. Not able to turn enough though was Kamahelo Maklatsi. Could just see what the idea was he was trying to orchestrate. Cleared by Phillips. Suka denied by Manaka, sorry. Nice touch from Swani. Back though from Nklapo, and Nklapo continues with his run, but the ball never reaches the right-sided fullback. This is a really good passage of pressure from Marumo Gallants. Lulu. Nice little turn from Shai. Equally good defense from Manciani. And for a match that's been played on a pitch that really probably isn't conducive to the style of football we're seeing, we are really seeing some good quality football.
Without a doubt, and that for me comes from best individual ability of these players. Technically very able to maneuver in these type of conditions, regardless of the sticky pitch or muddy with lots of pebbles all around. Let me tell you, the groundsman did a lot of good in trying to fix or let the water drain a bit more better than it would have if they went there to intervene.
We were having a chat a little bit earlier on. We didn't finish the thought though about Knox Matusa, and we were chatting in the car about the role Knox Matusa would play, because quite often we find him down the left-hand side. He doesn't get involved as a lone striker, but he's pretty good at beating the offside trap, and he does score goals. And we're waiting for his first goal of this season. But so far in this match, I think he has shown a little bit towards the left-hand side, but he has played slightly more central in the opening stages of this first half.
Oh, we'll always discuss a little bit further how have they managed to keep him a bit more central.
Totally getting some instruction from Dan Dance Malesele. In the meantime, the referee has got a couple of players in the classroom. Cedric Muvali really laying down the law, has done so almost from the opening whistle. Sitole looks for the flick on, nearly gets it as well from Nklapo. Nklapo has gotten himself really involved in this encounter.
He's tenacious. He's one player that really doesn't quite give the fullback much time on the ball. And given the opportunity with a good level of fitness, he likes to push forward.
Gluglu does push forward. Maybe a bit fortunate for Supunela Tele. Now with Sipia. That's a nice ball, threading the Ivan needle. Really, really top-class ball here towards Zwane. Klankler Zwane maybe losing his way a little. Good defense. Vusi Sipia for Daniel Ekpe, both experienced players. Shai looking for something from referee Muvali. In the meantime, it's Phillips. Knox Mutizwa, Menzi Musuku. The ball's hardly stationary for any space of time. Now there's a chance here for Sitole. The keeper's way off his line. Shai! Clear of the line by Phillips. Didn't have much power on it. It still had to be cleared though. And Marumo Gallants must be wondering how they weren't able to open the scoring with an open goal.
If you had to ask me what happened there, I'll explain it clearly, because I felt like if he was going to take a shot, there were just many bodies in front of him, the ball possibly bouncing off one of the defenders. But by trying to lob it, to get it past that first line of defense, and unfortunately the recovery to Phillips was brilliant, because he realized his goalkeeper is out and he needed to try and cover him. Excellent defending that.
Dudu to Shai. Sitole. Shai again, a little dummy for one side, then the other. Forces the save out of Mayoba. And Marumo Gallants continue to play very, very positive football. 30-year-old Namibian Edwin Mayova, formerly based in the capital city, Tshwane, with Pretoria Callies and the University of Pretoria Tuks. This is Makhlati. Side in white, continuing to push all sorts of angles here and force Golden Arrows to face in the wrong direction. They've done so with great success so far, but so has the defence of Golden Arrows. Glutlu. Munaka. Mklapo. Not quite the pass he was looking for, but I still think they get possession, and Sitoli's done nicely here. So much experience available, and you could hear the bellow from the right side at fullback. It was a terrible cross, to be honest.
He knew it from the time he took off his foot that this was not going anywhere, nowhere near the type of quality that he wanted. Here, as we look again, Marumo does well initially just to put off Shai. Now, that for me is the special one as far as Phillips' decision. When the goalkeeper's out, you get so many defenders making the mistake of concentrating on where the ball is, forgetting that the goalkeeper is already out of his goal line.
Well, Keenan Phillips did the right thing and he stayed on his line. However, if you look at the whole goal line, and it's 8 meters across, 8 yards across, the whole rest of the 8 yards is open, and that ball happens to go straight to Phillips. It's quite incredible. But Phillips did exactly the right thing, and well done to the 24-year-old fullback.
Now, here's the challenge that we face. I'm not sure which of the two teams is going to be affected. It's wet conditions. It's heavy, meaning that it takes quite a bit from the legs. And at this intensity that they're playing, it must be hurting. But now, second half is where it's going to show exactly what the impact would have been. But in this case, Arrows for me maybe will come the hardest hit because of the game they played in midweek.
Well, let's have a look at that. First of all, the game against midweek. Secondly, it was in conditions similar to this. So advantage to Arrows as far as that is concerned, playing in similar conditions in a space of 4 days. However, it is the space of 4 days.
Yes.
You're playing in a similar conditions, and therefore, you know, they might be like walking knee-deep in mud, and that might be a bit hectic later on. Signal clearly. It's good defending from Marumo Gallants. It's a goal kick as well. So that's an advantage and a disadvantage to Golden Arrows. You know, the lack of recovery time from playing on a tough pitch to playing on a tough pitch again. For Marumo Gallants, well, I thought they did rather nicely against Kaizer Chiefs, and they've had a whole week to recover.
So the challenge on Arrows now is to be able to get 1 goal or 2 in the first half when they're still fresh, because you know it's coming. Then you can level it up in the second half by maybe playing conservatively, sitting a bit more into your half.
Tired of playing behind the halfway line. The Montreal Golden Arrows looking for some work, but Shai has none of it. Neither for that matter does Ola Mlambo. Important role for Mlambo to play.
Aha, that's where you want him. Those neat, beautiful passes.
Monchiani, Ola Mlambo. Shai needs to appear inside the penalty area. Sitoli just on the outside of it. And that's a really, really good piece of defending, and a bit of naughty work by Shai as well.
I'm actually very impressed. I know he might be challenged in the second half as well, but I think he's putting in a good work. He's running, he's chasing, he's closing down defenders, and you want a striker that will fight, will start the defensive role right from the top of the formation, and he's given to Marumo that at the moment. And I'm sure Coach Dennis will be impressed with what he's seen so far. And there's still Mhango, by the way.
Oh yeah,
sitting on the bench, waiting for his opportunity to play as an impact in this case. Perfect.
Sibia back to Daniel Akpe. And on the inside. Onto the ball benefits Marumo Gallants for the moment, and then a little knock from Zwane as well. Kamahela Makhlati. It's good work here by Marumo Gallants again. Sibia. It's a Separikotso, another man who's played at different levels, started his career at Bloemfontein Celtic, went to Sekhukhune United, Royal AM, sorry, when the buyout was done, and then moved to Sekhukhune United, and just like his teammate, Ziyabulela Shai, was released by Babina Noko. Zuke. Sipia.
Same of Victor Litswalo. From Celtics to Royal AM to Sekhukhune. Obviously, he's left as well as season, 2 seasons that I'm sure he'll regret remembering. Having moved from Royal AM as a top goal scorer.
Phillips. There's one player that we, so far today, I don't think have seen a great deal of, except for a couple of corners that he's taken, and that is Sianda Mtanti. Turned 21 2 days ago, and reaching his majority, and happy birthday for the man who scored against Stellenbosch FC in the opening goal of the season for Bafana Bastende. But today he's been kept just a little on the quiet side.
Very, very quiet indeed. For his standards.
For his standards, yeah. And we've been speaking about him. Maybe we've been talking him up a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, he burst onto the scene, and I thought maybe not quite a regular last season, but he showed a lot of potential on that right-hand side. But, and he's pacey.
But, Rocky, you're revealing too much of what we're discussing along the way. I mean, it's like,
we are allowed to talk to each other, you know.
I'm just saying it looks like we're just talking football, because there's so much that goes into as we travel, as we review the game that we're going to be working on, and other stories, of course. But this is who we are.
Such as business in Eswatini.
Listen. We'll talk about it at the right time. But yes, very exciting stuff. We've got so much to look forward to.
Oh, yes. Nice touch from Shai on the overlap with Satoli. Nice combination. I'm starting to like the understanding that Satoli and Shai are putting together in this encounter so far.
Oh, Lambo once again. He doesn't have to run too much. He lets the ball does the work. And which most players are struggling to do. They want to run with the ball.
Ball given away by Sevilla. Yeah, that's the start of these two matches, and that's a delightful ball if it had stayed in the pitch. Unfortunately, Spinello not able to quite make up the ground. Campo sees the ball disappear over the top of him from Separikotso. Manaka once again. It's Olamlamo calling the shots. Now Maklati. Still Maklati. Might be a little bit strong for Lulu. I think the players are enjoying this match, and any spectators that have braved the weather conditions and come out here, because the wind seems to have dropped a little bit. And I dare say it's maybe a little bit warmer. Shai in the meantime, looking for something off the left. Lulu shoots wide.
You know, I like what I'm seeing. It's just a little beautiful work done by someone individual. And Lambo has continued to be on the rise, up and up from last week's game against Chiefs, and is continuing in this half and delivers. It delivers beautiful passes to try and open up that fine line in between the defenders and reach the pocket spaces in attack.
Now, I dare say over the last at least 20 minutes, Marumo Gallants have been playing the better football. One has to give credit to Mabudi Kanyeza's side for their organisation defensively, and Edward Mayova. Sitole trying to do a little bit of a pirouette, finds him Klapo. Koto's clearance, and players on the ground looking for something from the referee, which never ever came. Shai needs to play to the whistle. Klapo. Tutlu trying to thread the eye of the needle through once again to Olamlamo, who suddenly pops up on the inside right channel. He's been over on the left-hand side for a while. Another big fella comes over just to add some weight to Tutlu and to Nklapo, and I think that's clever. Pele. And away by Manciani. Phillips. Dante. Now this is where, if he gets on his bicycle, he's very, very dangerous indeed. Challenging Makhlati. Mabocha was slightly out of position. Let's come back nicely, does the left-sided fullback. And Monaco at his way to the defence as well, as does Olamlambo. Klati. Shai. Slapo Druglu's got himself bottled up slightly behind him to do to Sabia. Sabia is a very clever, intelligent football player. Sitole now. Mabocha. First time ball. Tele clears.
Excellent covering defense from Tele. Normally, left fullbacks, they got caught in this fashion ball watching and not cover the central two defenders and allow the wide player to stick in front. At time, obviously on Wednesday with Saleng doing exactly that to get Ulano Paris that winner. Cut in between, in front of Modisa, the fullback, and got that header.
Ball ran towards Druglu, doesn't reach the man in the number 11 jersey. Oh, now a slight mistake in defence here by Zipia, the knocked man. In position, still knocks Matiswa! Scores! Knocks Matiswa.
You gotta appreciate Knox. I mean, he's been quiet for the longest, almost non-existent in the field of play. Like we spoke along the way, that he cheats. He doesn't chase the defenders, but he puts himself in a position when Eros recovers the ball, he's able to avail himself. Now let's see exactly how does he find himself with that opportunity. But it must be said, an attempt to clear the ball is what maybe gave him the chance. But he was there. He created the moment for himself, anticipated better. With the right foot, swings it past Daniel Akpay. He knew the defenders was closest, so he cuts into the inside and whips it. Oh, beautifully done.
I blame Vusi Zibia. It was actually Tipo Ricotto who made the mistake, and this is a nice little pullback. There was plenty of space because the cover wasn't available from the other centre-back from Marumo Gallants. No chance for Daniel Akpay, and Mutiswa scores his 59th goal in South African football.
Speed, change your speed going into the attack. And the conditions, once again, they've played their part. I think under normal circumstances, I don't think Ricotto would have missed clearance. Not the easiest of clearance, but like I said, under normal circumstances, he would have been able to get it clear. And remember, once again, once it bounces off the ground, it drifts a little bit further. That gave Mutiza the opportunity to be able to sprint ahead of Ricotto. A lot of factors involved.
It also bears mentioning that the goal came from the left-hand side and not from the central position for Mutizwa.
Aha! So some of our discussions were on point.
Slightly.
I'm glad you raised them up.
Now you think. You're a strange chap.
At some stage I thought you talking too much, you believe too much, but no, okay, so at least we work from the time that we were driving from home, from the hotel to the stadium, and in the vicinity of the stadium. The discussion just continues.
Makhlati. Sitole. Ball doesn't bounce kindly for Marumo Gallants, and the tight positioning of the Montfort Golden Arrows players allows Tabani Zuke to tidy up for Abafana Bistende.
Here's the thing, sorry Kevin. If it's not happening with your build-up play, transition football, that was the case for Eros. It didn't come from build-up like we normally do.
They were the side that was slightly under Kosh, Daniel Akpay, and Marumo Gallants now conceding 3 goals in the season so far. They've scored once. Bafana Bistende scoring 3 goals, and they haven't conceded so far this season, have Lamontville Golden Arrows. The way things stand at the moment, Arrows will be at the top of the table for a second week unless there's massive scores coming through from other matches, because don't forget Polokwane City are playing in a derby against Magesi, and City won in the opening round against Amazulu by 2-1, so they have a chance to go top of the table with enough goals.
With enough goals, yes. But the good thing about Arrows is that they've been conceded. And 2-0 they got.
Absolutely.
That puts them on top, yeah. That's what Mabuti would like to see. But I'm afraid to think that maybe that's how we started last season, and things kind of happened along the way. And they ended up working very hard from the bottom side of the table to stay up.
Klapo. Zukes them nicely. Now away by Swani. Sipia. Oh, it's a lovely ball, and it's a foul from Klapo. The referee's gone to the pocket as well.
My concern, of course, about Klapo is that he was in and out last season, where he didn't play as a regular cheaper. He only arrived late, so he started playing halfway through, but he didn't play in all the games. So I'm not sure about his fitness levels. But obviously, having started last week, in fact, he didn't start. Malanga played and he got the red card. That's when he came in, Siabon Klapo, for Marumo. So I'm not sure really what his fitness levels is.
Swirling free kick, it's a great free kick. Even better positioning, ball watching defense from Marumo Gallants. They pay the price, and Arrows lead 2-0. It's too easy. It's too easy for Ntutuzi Sipia.
I'm trying to think, when was the last time he scored with a header? I mean, he's in the box, he's not the tallest of strikers, and yet he's able to get in between the defenders and get one direct. No pressure whatsoever from the Marumo Gallants.
Nothing. I think Dan Malasela will be furious.
Even more. I mean, that's the area that needs to be protected the most. And yet, they are all over the place. You can't always mark in that area. A little bit of mixed defending sometimes does the trick. Hey, he didn't miss. That's the one moment.
Pinpoint from Mtanti. Equally so from the 29-year-old former captain of Bafana Bastende, in the left-sided winger, Nduduzu Sipia, who makes it 2-0 to the home side in the final minute of regulation time in the Mpumalanga Stadium in Hammarsdale. So 2-0 against Stellenbosch FC, 2-0 here against Marumo Gallants in the first half of this match. It's 4-0. And again, there's no way through for Klapo, and it's a bit naughty from Sipia.
An opportunity for Marumo to throw one into the box as well, maybe makes some improvement on the scoreline.
And there is a header that's quite easily dealt with by Edward Mayova after the foul on Diala Manaka. 1 minute added on by match referee Cedric Muvali. We're just about at half-time then in Hammarsdale. It's been an entertaining first half, and all of a sudden, despite all of the pressure that came from Marumo Gallants, suddenly, boom, boom, 2 goals within the space of 5 minutes. Mutiswa Sipia, and Bafana Bastende will be hard-pressed to lose from this sort of situation. Referee Muvali blows for half-time. It's been an interesting half, but I reckon those 2 goals, first of all, the mistake from Tsepo Rikotso, allowing the Knox man in to score his first goal of the season, and then absolutely no defending whatsoever from the Mtanti free kick that led to the Sipia goal. Yeah, he changed his central defensive pattern, taking out one centre-back and putting in Vusi Sipia and leaving Tsepo Rikotso in there in the hopes that would consolidate the defence. Well, that hasn't really quite worked. Golden Arrow scoring twice in the first half. Mutiswa and Sipia, the contributors. Arrows lead at half-time by 2-0.
vibes going with Nozzle Meals. Get a snack wrap or 2-piece chicken tenders for just $29.90 per meal. Get a Nozzle Meal today, only from McDonald's.
You see, it was this game that turned boys into giants. Even today's aces inherited the name from those who came before. Usabutha lomlilo, buzalwa abaziyo, bazokutshela. Lisegazini, forever.
I remember we were bursting with excitement for my 8th-month checkup, but I was in a terrible car accident. Because of our wise, we could focus on our bundle of joy, knowing our claim was taken care of.
Discover Honor 200 series. The best portrait phone AI empowered. Triple 50 MP studio level. Turn every moment into a perfect portrait. Discover Honor 200 series. AI empowered magic portal. Just drag and share in one step. This is Honor 200 series.
In what world?
The perfect start.
Is rugby this amped?
Fantastic execution from defense to attack.
Only on your World of Champions Super Sport, bringing you every match in the Casalaga Rugby Championship. Broadcast proudly brought to you by Spur and Checkers.
The name is Siamtan.
No, the name is Anika.
Siamtan.
Anika.
Siamtan.
The name is Anika.
The
I
name-
said it.
Guys, we're going with Siam Nika.
I've always liked the name Sianika.
You can give them local as lekker this Heritage Month with a Samsung A15 smartphone for 3399 and a 514 kg top loader for 5799. Pampers Mega Box assorted sizes for 448 Rand. Cause games got you.
My dream team.
Like my table is Dream Team 3. Barbecue chicken, Hawaiian, original veg.
What? Sweet chili chicken, chicken and mushroom with that sauce has to be within.
Nothing beats the amazing fiery Mexican fiesta in any Dream Team 3.
Choose your Dream Team 3. Pick 3 medium pizzas from our 6 winning flavors for only $179.90. Debonair's Pizza. Try something amazing.
Meet the next generation of awesome. The Samsung Galaxy A series.
Another trip to town, but you need to pick up lunch. Ish. Yeah, nah? But don't stress. With Nozzle Meals tasty options, hey, lunch is sorted. Get a snack wrap or 2-piece chicken tender small meals for only $29.90. Talk about a deal worth picking up. That's Nozzle Meals, only at McDonald's.
Welcome back to our studios in Randburg. Let's confirm the halftime scores then so far in the Betway Premiership. Golden Arrows leading at home by 2-0 against Marumo Gallants. In the derby, well, in Pulugwane, Magesi trailing against Pulugwane City. It's also halftime then. Remember then SuperSport United later on take on Royal AM and then Chipa United up against Richards Bay. We want to look at the halftime stats though from the Mpumalanga Stadium just to put some perspective to that which we have seen happen over the first 45 minutes. Look at this story then. Look at the home team, Lamontville Golden Arrows, 2 shots on target, 2 goals, 2 goal attempts. Look at Marumo Gallants, 5 goal attempts, 2 shots on target. They have a 47% ball possession, 53% ball possession for Bafana Bafana. You would have thought with the way that Marumo Gallants were playing that they were dominating ball possession, but well, the stats, like another coach said, don't reveal everything, and they don't in this particular game as well. Now, we want to look at the goals. There's 2 goals to look at, with Marumo Gallants dominating the ball possession. But this is what happens then. This is an assist from the goalkeeper. because you just cannot take away from goalkeeper Marumo. Amanda, you can't take it away. Look at this distribution. Yes, also makes a mistake, but look at this pass.
Yeah, because Mr. Msibi, the principle is always consistent for golden arrows. We work on transition, we work on efficiency, and this is absolutely it. They were on their low block, defending very well, keeping the tight spaces, but the goalkeeper knows we always have an outlet in the wide channels.
And I guess, Amanda, we go back to what we spoke about in the build-up. Mtizwa, his role in the team was all totally goal. Sometimes if it has to be route one, it is a goal, it is 3 points. You want players like that up front. When you don't have, you're not getting anything from, whether it's wingers or your midfielders, then play a long ball and you have a player like Mtizwa. So it's different dimensions for me.
What about the defending, though, in this situation? I'm going to tell you why I'm asking about the defending. Marumo Gallants in this game, struggling with the central pairing. That's why then they say, we drop Matiane, we play Sibiya and Rikhotso. Look at this free kick then and tell us what happens.
Sure, I think the defenders will be very disappointed in this one because it's a well-floated ball, take nothing away from it. But you can't have two centre-backs marking in that kind of way. The tallest guys on the park, it's just criminal for me. Also, the experience that Rikhotso has, Sibiya as well, that is just criminal for me. One should be at least picking up and the next covering. I think it's just ball watching.
It's a free header, that's 100%. I mean, Sibiya, you cannot allow a player, who's not the tallest to get a free header like that. But it's the reaction. It's those, they're always second to the ball. They're always reacting, And I think for me, it has been their game. Even in the previous game against Chiefs, that's what happened. They were late in every action.
They trailed by 2-0, but that's not how they started the game. I'm talking Marumo Gallants. They started on the front foot. Look at Sithole here in the 12th minute. A decent move in terms of how they put the passes together. It's Mlambo pulling the strings in midfield. It's Shai who's also involved. And then Sithole into the box, appeals for the penalty. I love the positioning of referee Muvali here.
Yep. He was just like, I'm not buying it. Sithole says, I want to sell it, face-to-face confrontation. But I think it's clear as daylight. Mauvo was late, but makes no contact. Sithole thought, I could drag a leg and maybe force a contact terminator. But you do these. Did you do this?
Hey, I'm a player, because you know very well. But look, you will always look for that, for that penalty. But clearly that's not
but are you correct?
No. I'm a player.
Yeah.
Okay, let's run quickly then. Let's go to Pulwane. The old Peter Mukabasadam, Magges against Pulwane City. I told you there is a single goal. Look at this move, Amanda. How on the right-hand side, and you guys, you spoke about it, Matilud on the right, how he adds numbers, makes great runs up front, but look how easily they cut through the midfield and the defense of Magesi for Marema to score.
Yeah, absolutely. We spoke about this in the build-up. You have to remain compact in that midfield. It's almost as if they're just easy. Yeah. It shouldn't be that easy. But of course, Matiludi, ever so in form, he started that move, playing a little bit inverted and finishing it off.
Yeah. Good move, go wide, bring a cross in. And I think that's where Magesi get it wrong, I think, in terms of organization.
Let's get ready then for the second half. Mpumalanga said that's where Bafana Besta and the Golden Arrows lead against Marumo Gallants by 2-0. Stay with your World of Champions.
Celebrate the next generation of awesome. Awesome rolls with the punches and never breaks a sweat. Embrace the night with the Galaxy A Series. Because with Awesome,
game recognizes game. Redefine style with the Galaxy A Series. This isn't a chant because awesome never ends. Meet the next generation of awesome. The Samsung Galaxy A Series.
Keep the vibes going with Nazo Meals. Get a snack wrap or 2-piece chicken tenders for just $29.90 per meal. Get a Nazo Meal today, only from McDonald's.
Produced and distilled in Cognac, France. Refreshing and irresistible. Infused with delicate French elderflower. Unparalleled experience with every sip. 5 times distilled. Royal Flush Noir. French luxury.
Our fuel can go in this car, that car, the one only you dig, and cars that actually do dig, in the cars that float, even cars that fly. So no matter what you drive, ride or fly, we have the right fuel for you. Choose Astron Energy Core-Tech fuel for your drive today. 4-in-1 technology in every drop for every engine. With over 854 quarts in the next few years, we are South Africa's next biggest fuel brand. Welcome to Astron Energy.
If Outrance can't save you money on your car insurance, they'll give you 500 Rand or a massive 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years.
Did it take long?
No, it only took a few minutes. They asked a few questions and...
Yes, tell me.
Stay there. Boom. So I pay less every month.
Save every month or get cash. You've got nothing to lose.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
Immerse yourself in a world of opulence and indulge in the art of luxury. Rich and smooth, elegant and sophisticated. Its depth and complexity is unmatched, creating an unforgettable experience. Crafted in the heart of France, an embodiment of excellence. Voted best cognac in the world, the Cognac Masters London. Honor cognac above all else.
Because awesome never sweats. Embrace the night with the Galaxy A series.
Back to the Mpumalanga Stadium. We are in Hammarsdale this afternoon, round 2 of the Betway Premiership. It is Lamontville Golden Arrows against Marumo Gallants, and goals from Motizo and Sibia, their first each of the season, has the home side leading by 2-0 at the break, making their season so far in a match and a half unbeaten and 4 goals without having conceded. The fans wrapping themselves up for what should be an exciting second half, judging from what we've seen from the first. And it really is Marumo Gallants side. I think William Shongwe will be palpably disappointed with that defence, even though they had made changes to the defence in the hopes to strengthen it. That hasn't quite worked. Daniel Mzendani, the former Botswana-based Joneng Zimbabwean right winger, is about to make an appearance for Tapelo Gludlu. And the other change is Tapelo Mokobodi on for Kolam Lamba, which is something of a surprise to me. Mokobodi hasn't had game time this season so far. He's a young midfielder. 2 changes made by Dan Malasela at halftime.
You have to look at the impact that was expected of them.
We're underway then for the start of the second half. Marumo Gallants in the all-white will attack the goal to the left-hand side of your screen. The Lamontville Golden Arrows in the green and yellow will play from left to right. Yeah, William, give us your thoughts about those changes.
Lulu in particular on the right-hand side of the attack of Marumo Gallants, it wasn't effective. The left-hand side was the most effective with Matlati. And I guess now with Mlambo, who plays a little bit slower, but yes, he's keeping ball position, but I think the decision is that you want to play aggressively going forward. That's why you want to bring the younger or the more aggressive.
Mabocha caught in possession. It's good defending from Keenan Phillips. Still wet and cold in Hammarsdale this afternoon. Manaka just a little behind the defence, nicely cleared away by Klankler Zwane. Pressure on Daniel Akpe. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that dressing room of Marumo Gallants at half-time, because after having made the changes in defence and brought in Siyabonga Klapo and Busi Sibia and company, yeah, there were still mistakes made. But sleepy on the free kick by Mtanti for the second goal, one that was scored by Sibia. It's a nice little ball played in towards Msindami. Nice attack from Mokopodi as well, and it's clearing intent here from Dan Malasela's side in the second half. But as we said, 2 defensive mistakes, one from Ricozzo, and that sleepy defence from the centre-backs when the free kick was taken just before half-time by Mtanti and secured by Sibia. Really would have been disappointing for Dan Malasela.
Against the run of play they conceded, it must be said. So I'm a little bit concerned even in this half. They're starting like on a high note, and will this tempo drop, which will allow Gordon Arrows to maybe bounce back? And you can't afford to go like that.
No, are we going to have a match of differing halves on both sides? I don't think there was too much in that from Enzi Masuko. I think it was more clumsy than deliberate on Diala Manaka. Free kick though to Marumo Gallants. They've got to make these sort of situations count, and they're not going to do it that way. Sibia was in the right position, but the ball was played far too ahead of him by Sekele Setole. Very wet conditions in the Midlands. Makhlatsi not able to make much progress. I really do think that Keenan Phillips is playing rather nicely today.
Listen, he's a seasoned defender. We saw a lot of good things that he did at Supersport. Just coming through the ranks from the development structures. So he's for me, it's just a young player that needed a little bit of time to get acquainted with the demands of the game in the Premiership. So here's an opportunity. And it looks like he's grabbed it with both hands.
And Sindami, one of the 2 changes, the Zimbabwean strikers played for the Highlanders in Zimbabwe before moving across to the southwestern part of Africa and popping up with Jwaneng, the highly successful Jwaneng in Botswana, but getting this move now to Marumo Gallants, 23-year-old Zimbabwean.
Bulawayo Highlanders, black and white.
Absolutely.
And a big team in Bulawayo.
Absolutely.
Where the likes of Martin and of the Glovo brothers, for all that you know, would have featured for Bulawayo Highlanders. And Maui, Willard Kumalo, may his soul rest in peace. Neither of that is Mercedes Band as well, the right foot back. I'm talking about internationals who are featured at international level. It's a big team in that part of the land. Barberfields is their home ground.
Absolutely, been there.
Clipped.
Yeah, clipped by Nsentami. It's a sort of challenge that one doesn't want to see in the football field as a player gets caught, but in these sort of slippery conditions, I suppose that these things happen. The referee will have a chat to the Zimbabwean. I don't think there was anything really intentional about it, although Tele took exception. Chitolo has had a lot of football in his career, has Glenn Chitolo. Tanti not quite able to orchestrate the pullback, and he's done his right knee while trying to do something a little clever. Attention required here.
Oh, I'm not sure what kind of
the
injury
Arrows
is
right
that.
winger.
looks like a muscle pull, which basically will mean the end of his game so early.
As he tried to heel the ball back, he pulled up immediately. So whether he's hyperextended the knee, or whether he's done a muscle behind that, or maybe even a cruciate, the weather conditions. Yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
And there was no doubt. As soon as he pulled up, boom, it was going to be a change.
How unfortunate. He only just came to the party in those last few minutes. Even before the half, we saw him quite a bit going for it. Yeah. Unfortunately, so that's the name of the game, son. You can only, I'm glad that the decision has been made, and which allows him to be able to maybe not extend the injury further.
Yeah, just for me, it seemed to be just on the outside. I mean, that's where his hand is, but I think the injury almost appeared to be slightly lower down, just on the outside of the right knee. Yeah, it's not a good sign for the 21-year-old. Just had a birthday 2 days ago, and now finds himself on a stretcher. Play back underway with Nklanhla.
Can only be glad, though, that at this stage and time of the game, they're still in the lead. So it always makes for a better exit when things are still pretty much in shape when you leave the field of play.
Boisterous start to the second half from Marumo Gallants, and the last thing that Lamontville Golden Arrows will want to do is to concede a goal early on, but there's certainly a lot of intent about the visiting side at the moment. Mahlatsi inside to Mabocha, and then the change of direction to Mokopodi. He points his captain in the direction of the right-hand side instead of down the left, and Mokopodi has just come on as a substitute, but he's playing an important role as a playmaker here in front of his captain. Mahlatsi, Mabocha, Mokopodi. It's a lovely ball, but nicely defended as well by Shitolo. Mahlatsi with yet another opportunity. 36-year-old veteran nicely running onto the ball. Sitole. A splendid defense from Gladwin Shitolo.
Talk about Mokopodi. Remember, he takes the place of Mulambo, who was a bit more on the offensive side.
The man who arrived from Hungry Lions in the first division last season, Angelo van Rooy, played mostly in the starting lineup last season. If you have a look at his overall stats for van Rooy, he's played 28 times, scored 1 goal for Bafana Bestende. 27 of those have been, beg your pardon, 21 of those have been in the starting lineup. Came off the bench against Stellenbosch FC, comes off the bench here against Marumo Gallants as well. But he's involved in the game. That looks like a handball, is a handball. Decent player is Angelo van Rooy. Obeto Ngube, the attacking midfield, another former Hungry Lions player, also finds himself on the bench. Mabocha. Second bite of the cherry then for the fullback. Yeah, it's purposeful from Marumo Gallants. We're hoping to be blessed with a goal before too long. Heading up towards the 10th minute of the second half. Arrows lead 2-0.
There is one thing to keep ball position and play beautifully for all to watch, but you got to have some intentions about the way you play. A bit more offensive. I think we see a bit of ball from Chipa. Intensity is high, but there's also progression into the attacking half.
Be a caught from behind by Sitole. Got to be careful, he's one of 3 players on yellow cards in the match so far. with the second half almost developing in a sort of situation to what we saw in the latter stages of the first half, with Marumo Gallants with all the possession, and all of a sudden Bafana Bastende come along and score a goal, and they should have scored in one there through Menzi Masuku. Took his eyes off the ball potentially. Van Rooyen with a delightful pass into the penalty area.
Oh, man.
What is Masuku even thinking about? Look at that space.
Had he looked around his environment just to see this kind of space that he had to be able to pick up the ball, maybe want the second touch and then find the back of the net. I mean, it was right there in about the 12 yards area. An open goal in front of him.
And I'm sure Mpumalanga Kanyezi is mirroring the sort of comments that are coming from the combox. But William, one has to again question where the two centre-backs are in that move.
Looks like they get dragged easily by the movement of the ball. And also the defensive midfielder, because that was a cutback. You can say the defensive line was maybe a little bit closer to goal, but the defensive midfielders must drop back as well and help out.
100%. Sithole continues to push hard and really working well. So for that matter was Knox Mutizwa on that occasion. Kian Phillips, Angelo Van Rooyen. Nice work done in defence by Vusi Sibia. Namabocha. Some nice hard passes they're putting together here, but again, good defence by Nhlanhla Zwane. Frustration for Marumo Gallants as another free kick is blown against them. And the referee again calling for a bit of calm. Oh, he's called somebody into the office here. It's Mantiani.
Mantiani alongside Sithole in the center of defense, but he can play as a left full back. He's the left defensive player in that center.
Wide by Zuke. Second ball for Marumo Gallants, followed by Diallo Manaka. No foul, says the referee. Sithole. Good work done again by Diallo Manaka. Really is working hard at the moment. So is Kamahelo Maklatsi. Still Maklatsi. Shai. Mokopodi. Nice turn in the area. Not quite enough of a turn from Sithole, and beautifully marshalled by Sithole and Mantiani. I thought that was a really good piece of defending. Applying pressure here, Marumo Gallants with Shai. Shai's been impressive today, so is Maklatsi. Shai once again. It was set up nicely for Sibia, and he had time.
Fortunately, if you don't get your head over the balls, you take the shot. The ball is always going to skyrocket higher than initially wanted. But I guess as a defender, sometimes those demands of having to lean forward are not so much necessary when you're defending. So you make it a habit to just clear.
Nearly at the hour mark in this encounter. Arrows leading by the two first half goals scored by Mutizwa and Sibia. Almost looks as if Mpumalanga Kanyezi is going to give some players a little bit of a break here, because I see three players warming up on the halfway line. Brendan Turon, who's a very experienced, you'll remember him from Maritzburg United. Alberto Mube, former Hungry Lions attacking midfielder, and Lungelo Nkuse, who came on as a substitute. He's a former tuck striker, and he scored from the penalty spot against Stellenbosch FC to secure those 3 points that took Le Mans Golden Arrows to the top of the table. And I must say, it took them to the top of the table for the first time in 7 years. Just about to the day, almost.
Wow.
Last time that Arrows were top of the table was in 2017, where they were top of the table in weeks 4, 5 and 6, the 16th, 19th and 23rd of September 2017. Ended the season in 8th place under Clinton Larson. Incredible.
Sibia obviously walks out of the field. We look at the goal that he contributed in the first half, a header.
So Sibia is going to make way. Menzi Masuku is making way. Waiting for the next change, and Guse is already on the field of play. Came on as a sub, as we said, against Stellenbosch FC, but Ngube and Brandon Taron will get their first runs in the DStv Premiership this season. So Nklanhla Zwane, Sibia and Masuku off. Thought Nklanhla Zwane had contributed rather nicely in the match so far, but he's not going to have any further part of it.
And I guess at the right time, Mabuti had to make this change, because you could see that the intensity with which they played, Arrows, was dropping, and with Marumo Gallants taking over.
Makhlati really has had a good match. Nice piece of defending though. Mokopodi can't pick it up. It's good work done by Sipia. Equally so by Shitolo. Ricotto claiming it was ball first.
I'm tempted to think so as well. We look at the direction of the ball. We'll look at it once more. If the defender gets to the ball and the ball changes direction, then it means the defender got it right. Now, let's look at this. Oh, it's the 2 feet then starts showing, understandably. So that's the difference. Yes.
Yeah, there was contact made on the ball in front of Van Roy, but I think he's very, very lucky to get away without a sanction at all. Ricotto. Arrows with a free kick. Monaka diving into the fray. First touch for Ngube. Just on the inside left channel for Le Bon for Golden Arrows. We were promised an exciting match when we looked at the starting lineups today and the style that these two teams play in. It certainly has delivered as far as that is concerned. 2 goals as well. Makhlati. Sitole. Makhlati. Mokopodi. Was a bit of a run from Shai, but the ball delivery wasn't of the same quality that Shai was anticipating.
Yeah, it's sad when a coach puts a team together to go and perform, and then things don't quite click accordingly, and they end up conceding from standard situations that should normally would have been defended. And I'm talking about Dan Malisela, who I think, if you look at Marumo Gallants, they still play with the right intensity. They're still creating great moments, making entries into the offensive third. But now, when you are chasing the game like they're doing, it really can be very frustrating, because you're chasing the game and that you open yourself to further to be opened up even once more, because you're chasing now, you're playing on the front foot, and it's difficult to defend when that is happening.
Diallo Monaka. Bocha and Makhlati have been imperious on this left-hand side for Marumo Gallants, and Makhlati has really put in a good shift here today. Phillips, ball, nice second ball for Sitole. Shai defended beautifully in the midfield as well by Brandon Taron. Good touch in there as well from Longelo and Guse. Van Roy, 4 changes made by Le Bon for Golden Arrows. Van Roy was the first of them. Doesn't bother to chase that one down. The clearance will surely be made by Mabocha. Makhlati continues his good work. So does Sitole. Without reward, it must be said. Little touch from Sendami. Sendami again. Almost thought he was going to pull the trigger. Maybe he should have. Mokopori forcing Manciani into defending. Manciani might have picked up a free kick though.
Yeah. He managed to defend the ball, but this is after he was nudged by Mokobodi.
I think Mokobodi's been quite impressive since he's come on.
Good energy, which is the only reason why he brought them in, because the energy was going. And if you want to get a reaction from a player, from the players in the field of play, you got to inject fresh legs, and that's what Mokobodi was brought in for.
Headed away by Ricozzo. Zuke. Touch from Mutizu was a little on the strong side.
Now he's drifted lately to the left, where he operates best from, with Nguse coming in a bit more central.
Absolutely. Makhlati. Still Makhlati. Phillips just patient enough. But the second touch from Makhlati wasn't able to be made, and Shitolo tied it up behind his right side and fullback. Shitolo is an elusive opponent. Shy, improving this season. But away comes Ngube. Numbers forward here, and pacey numbers as well. And Kuse has been a little pushy on Vusi Sibia. Sitole. It's a nice little bit of a recovery from Angelo van Rooij. Just about coming up towards the halfway stage of the second half. No goals in the second period yet. Arrows leading by those two first half strikes. Defensive lapses from Marumo Gallants that we haven't seen so far in the second half. Monaco trying to find Shai and Sitole, but just too many green jerseyed bodies in the way, and the closest to him was Brandon Teron. Now the Knox man gets away from Ricozzo, immediately looking for a bit of support. Clearance had to be a good one because the ball was heading over towards Nkuse. And that's wide from Ngube.
Looks like the ball took a deflection. That's why it's gonna...
Yeah, Marumo Gallants conceding 4 goals within 2 matches, and it doesn't get any easier either, because on Tuesday they take on the Mamelodi Sundowns.
Oh no.
Marumo Gallants, and yeah, that's going to not be an easy encounter against Mangoba Ngliti's side, who is a former Bafana Bastende coach. There's actually a nice header there from Nkuse, well cleared by Marumo Gallants. Van Rooij.
But I can't help. I start thinking now about some of the factors in as far as that are not working in favor of Gallants. The time that Den arrives, and the time that we'll have had to be able to put together a competitive side and get the right combination also worked against them. I think the whole Marumo Gallants sell and changes over took a little bit long to have a good start into the season. So that is some of the challenges when the team is not well prepared from their off-season.
Absolutely. Going to play everybody twice in the season anyway, and yeah, you're going to have to play Mamelodi Sundowns twice. You're going to have to play Pirates and Chiefs and Stellenbosch FC and SuperSport United twice as well. So
City, don't leave out City there.
There's lots of challenges this season.
Yo.
For all the clubs. Don't forget about City. Eric Tinkler.
Yeah. He's watching, sitting on the corner there. Where these points are going to come from.
Phillips. This is Makhlati. Makhlati fighting hard and not leaving anything on the table. No way through for Teron. And while Marumo Gallants are so much ball possession, so much to look at from a Marumo Gallants point of view and admire, not quite a complete package yet, is it?
No, like I say, the defensive frailties are there for all to see, and basically, you see, they come from a lack of understanding from the defenders.
Somebody had to take a shot, and even if it's a fullback, Lebachang Mabocha. Doesn't have any goals in his career of 132 appearances. Most of them in the starting lineup for the various clubs he's played for. Lebachang Mabocha, Chakuma Sekakuni United, Magesi, and now Marumo Gallants. Nkuse against Ricotto. Ricotto's done nicely against the former Tuxman. Sitole from deep. Manaka goes past Shai. And while the touches look good and it's in close proximity to each other, and it's not meaningful progress here for Marumo Gallants.
It happens when you are attacking with high speed. The Wawa syndrome does. Okay. And the speed is such that it's easy to lose the ball position because not everybody is on the same wavelength to play at high speed.
Zuke. It's done nicely, Zuke, to avoid the challenge of Mzindami. It's been a bit of a baptism of fire for the First Division champions, the Motsepe Foundation Championship, or NFD champions from last season. Don't forget the last time that Arrows were top of the table in 2017, Clinton Larson was in charge of Bafana Bestende, and Clinton Larson in charge of Magesi, and took them to the championship last year. Well, they trailing by 2-0 against Polokwane City. Polokwane City there with 4 goals, but they have conceded 1. Arrows have scored 4 and haven't conceded any, so could be Polokwane City and Arrows at the top of the table come the next half an hour or so. Oh, there's a bit of space available for Msentani. And you know what the problem for me was? The ball didn't arrive at him at any pace, and I think he lost his focus a bit and sort of chased the ball a fraction.
But they were very tempting to take it on the volley, and maybe perfect for a volley because it was coming a little slower.
Keenan Phillips will make way here for Sazigumbi. And that's an interesting one because Sazigumbi is much more of an attacking player. So how do the Montville Gold Arrows set their store up? So quite interesting that Polokwane City leading 2-0 over Magesi. Arrows leading 2-0 over Marumo Gallants. So that will have Arrows on top of the table with Polokwane City in the second by the end of these matches. In the meantime, Sintani! It's a good save, you know.
He's a quality attacker. This Sintani is brave. Yeah, he takes 2 defenders before he unleashes. Maybe I'll give it too near into that post. And yet, if you're that close and you hit the ball that hard, you have a chance of beating the goalkeeper. Others, yeah, will say the angle was a bit tight, but there's nothing wrong if the ball is hit hard that well.
No. Certainly, I agree. Only the second corner kick for Marumo Gallants in the entire match. Solid header away by Pele. Zuke with the header as well, and Mokobodi was the closest to it. I think Mokobodi fouled the former centre-back come holding midfielder, Tabani Zuke.
Yeah, he climbs on top of him, which is considered a foul in football. There's definitely a drop in the intensity with which Arrows plays. They've made the changes and yet it still doesn't quite come through. They're still chasing the game.
Onside here for Mube. Keeper's way off his line. Chance for Mube. Clear of the line. The danger's not over yet. Nearly an own goal from the keeper. Disastrous stuff for Marumo Gallants. Goodness me.
Did well at play though, but halfway through he realized I'm not going to get there in time, and he did well in that he was coming to best and see if he can get there first. But when he realized, he stopped, which put the attacking player of Arrows under all type of decision where must I take a shot, must I go around the goalkeeper, which bought time for the defenders to get behind the goalkeeper. Yeah, Ngusi, I think it was. Excellent defending, which is more like what Kevin Phillips did when this goalkeeper was caught out in that first half.
Triple change for Marumo Gallants. I see the likes of Mondi Mpambaniso, Mbulelo Wakaba, Gabadinho Mhango, all attacking players, all quite capable of scoring goals. Mondi Mpambaniso, well known former Chakuma player in Polokwane City. Gabadinho Mhango, the Malawian, also one of the former Swallows players, but he's got a much bigger history in South African football than just that. And Mbulelo Wakaba, formerly from the first division with Cape Town Spurs and Platinum City Rovers and Orbit College. Well, he pops up here from a left wing position potentially. Gabadinho Mhango already to the thick of the action. He looks for shy, does Mhango. So Mahlatsi had made way. We've got Sitole, who is no longer part of the field of play either. Then Malasela, just like Mabudi Kanyeza, making a triple substitution. We've had half an hour of football in the second half, or just over it. So about 13 minutes remaining in stoppage time in Hammarsdale. Marumo Gallants rolling the dice and bringing on fresh pairs of legs for the final fifth couple of minutes here. Does it pay dividends for Dan Malasela?
He has to gamble at some stage. And if 50 minutes is a good enough time to give the players coming in.
Well, there's a really good opportunity. They're lining up to have a shot, and it didn't fall kindly from Mbulelo Wakaba. And with all the attack coming from Marumo Gallants, they're setting themselves up for a counter-attack by Van Rooyen and company. Might have been a bit more greedy, the former Hungry Lions player. Nice comeback though by Vusi Sipia.
One touch too many, maybe. I mean, when it's that open, you've got one fullback, you've got one defender in front of you. The alternative that you have is to be brave and take that defender on.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Van Rooyen's got to accelerate, and he doesn't. And Zabia covered not only the ground, but his momentum carried him to close down the space of the Arrows attacker. Van Rooyen, a bit of a wry smile from Maputi Kanyeza. 62nd match in his career in charge of a Premier League match, of a Premier League team. 22 victories, 23 in prospect at the moment. 13 draws, 26 losses. He's got a minus 12 goal difference at the moment, but it is work in progress. You know, one has to look back at last season and the strong start to the season that Abafana Bestende had, and then how they fell away in the latter stages of the season. And they'll be hoping that there's not a repeat of that situation. In the meantime, he has Mokopoti. Mokopoti gets another touch. Shai is doing some good work in there. Player down is Van Rooyen.
Yeah, knock at the back of his head. And the ref should have blown the whistle here. They realized it was a head injury. He should have blown immediately. And I think he got the message from his assistants on the sideline. Oops.
Well, clash of heads, I can't imagine there's anything intentional about that.
No.
It's still painful at the end of the day. Van Rooyen and Mokopoti.
That's a goal earlier on by Knox Mutiza. Does a good job of bypassing the defender, cuts it inside, let loose with his right, beating Akpay. It comes from in transition play. As we look at this, for me, is the easiest goal for Sibia And also, it should have been the easiest to defend because it's not like played with pace. It's just locked into the box.
It's a nice header, and he sent it wide of Daniel Ekpe to double the lead for the Montfort Golden Arrows. These are concerning moments, though, for the substitute, Angelo van Roy. Dan Malasela is still trying to organise matters. Setting a rather frustrated figure out there. One has to look maybe beyond the Mamelodi Sundowns match on Tuesday, which is Heritage Day, and then just build from there. Because if you start getting discouraged with 27 matches to go, then there's no hope, is there?
Indeed. Dlamini Ofamazulu, the young man who normally dances around the stands, is also in the house in support of Arrows.
Anxious signs here for the Montfort Golden Arrows and Angelo van Roy. Second appearance of the season from the bench, and are we going to see another substitution? Or can we see another substitution? Yeah, it's the side of the head that is of anguish to the Mabudi Kanyeza coached right winger. He's back on his feet, I can tell you. Edward Mayova with a long clearance. Marumo Gallants need something desperate here in the final 10 minutes or so. Ngube in the meantime. Guse. Sapia with all the time in the world. Mabocha as well. Was this good work done by Ngube? I think Ngube reaching for the ball, catches Sapia. Free kick to Marumo Gallants. Totally under pressure from Sintami. Marumo Gallants still have the belief that they can come up with something here today. Libachang Mabocha. Second ball almost falling for Sintami. The Montfort Golden Arrows almost look as if they want to start defending in numbers, which could provide opportunity for Marumo Gallants. Yeah, it constricts the space a little bit, but when you starting on the back foot, can be problematic.
Sometimes maybe it's not the intention as such, it's the pressure that Marumo Gallants are just mounting, and it doesn't give them time to breathe.
Nsentami. Good piece of defending from Sazikumbi. Another corner for Marumo Gallants, more pressure, angled header from Shai. Things going the way of the home side. Under similar conditions that they played in 4 days ago down in the Winelands against Stellenbosch FC. But they're looking to go 2 for 2 here.
But I'm sure you'll agree with me that it's not the same in intensity that we saw in that first half.
No.
Meaning that basically the energy levels are going down. That game is coming into effect. But like I said in that first half, the owners are always to score 1 or 2 goals to put themselves in a position where they don't have to chase in the second half. That was my statement earlier. And which to a great extent they've done that. So it makes it a little bit easy to defend under these circumstances, though, like you said, you don't want to show too much that you're defending, because now it gives the momentum to Marumo Gallants to actually come on to you.
Mukubodi to Mpamba Niso. Very, very good attacking player is Mbulelo. The time is running away. 5 minutes and stoppage time away from full time for Abafana Westende. Last we heard, Polokwane City were leading by a similar scoreline, or the same scoreline, against Magesi, and that's a derby. Both of those teams at some stage played at the old Peter Makaba Stadium, and certainly Polokwane City do play there. Magesi, we're looking to play at another stadium this season, Sishego. Clinton Larson knows just as much as Dan Malasela will know that it's going to be a tough season, and perhaps for Royal AM as well, who got a point with that late Cerro goal against Cape Town City in the opening match of the Betway Premiership season. That it could be a tough season for them as well. Almost a second ball for Lebogang Mabocha. Good work done by Brandon Tehran.
He is so far out with himself after making that block. He punches the air as if he scored a goal. That's just how important these 3 points are going to be for us, just to build a little bit of momentum.
Now, Royal AM could struggle a bit as well, because they still have that FIFA ban against signing players this season, and that's been in operation for a little while already. But a good point at home to start the season, and Royal AM will be playing against SuperSport United in the next match. Good work done at the back by Daniel Msendwan Dami. Shai has worked exclusively today. I thought he's really had a good match, Shai. Looking to make a positive return to the top flight. Gabadini Mhango. No, there might have been a dangerous header back from Suke, but I don't think anybody was really paying attention, particularly Mondi Mpambaniso, who's probably the smallest man on the field anyway.
It's been so key, Zuki, in that middle. Even under this press that been under this whole second half, and he's continued to break those attacks and given the opportunity, come up with some build-ups of his own.
Gomneros have waited almost 7 years to get back to the top of the DStv Premiership. Over 2,500 days. Top of the table after week 1. And potentially to be top of the table after week 2 as well. Even the chasing pack something to think about. Arrows just missed out on the top 8 last season, while Marumo Gallants were in 11th position, but in the lower league. The Motepe Foundation Championship. All of a sudden they find themselves in the Premier League, and that has been the difficulty for Dan Malasela. Van Roy back on the field of play after that head injury. You haven't seen much of him because it's been Marumo Gallants who've been mounting much of the attack. And this is Ricotso. And Sendami. Almost caught by Sibia. Mokobodi and Sindami. Nice play as well by Wakaba. Still Wakaba. The Montreal Golden next match on Wednesday will be at home here in Hammarsdale against Clinton Larson's Magesi side. The Gallants, as we said, away in Tshwane against Mamelodi Sundowns. That's to relish as far as the DStv Premiership is concerned. Still more matches this afternoon as well. Nice header away by Van Roy. Now Nkuse turns Mabocha. Has he got the pace though? Mabocha's closing down the angle. I think he might have cleared it too far ahead of him, and the ball came off the fullback eventually, but that's nice tracking back by Lebogang Mabocha.
That's why I always appreciate attacking players like Nguse, who are brave to take the defender's on. He gets the touch here, he puts one through past Mabocha, and then he continues. At a time when he thought maybe he'll cut it back, and he looked across and he saw a player running on the far side, but excellent work once again by Mabocha to cut the cross.
I don't think Arrows will complain too much. They probably want to play most of their remaining minutes on the attack here. Talk about remaining minutes. I think there's going to be 4 minutes added on to the end of the second half. The corners played rather short, easily away by Sipia. So yeah, 4 minutes added on to the end of the second half. We, at the start of those 4 minutes of time added on, Arrows leading Marumo Gallants by 2-0, mirroring the result against Stellenbosch FC. Here's a chance for Shai! Did the keeper bring him down again? No foul. Second time in the match, there's been some simulation. Sithole picked up a yellow card for that offence. And is the referee consistent here? Or are we going to see Shai let off the hook by Mr. Muvali?
But we need to see exactly what happens here. I'm sure we need an angle that where we'll have a clear view of whether there is contact at all. Because it'll be very brave for the men in the middle to make the call that is a simulation if he didn't see it.
He's going into the book, and there is consistency. Let's have a look. Nah.
Now, it's not the goalkeeper. I am thinking, was it Tyrone? I need to see this a little bit more. Tyrone, there was contact from the top. Whether that was enough to push him forward, it's not from the goal. I think we're looking from the wrong angle, as if the goalkeeper maybe had anything to do with it. But Tyrone, who was chasing, might have made some form of contact.
Two players booked for simulation from a Marumo Gallants point of view. This is Mpambaniso. Ball hacked away by Zuke. Takes nothing away from the contribution that Shai has made in this encounter. I thought Shai has been absolutely magnificent.
No, he's given his all, eh? I mean, to think he's not a player that has played on a regular basis, but he's given it all.
Long range effort. Bad one from Ricozzo.
Oh, it was that close. Oh, man. It was going to be one of those unbelievable moments. Whether Mayova might have seen this, but it caught his attention.
I don't think he missed by that much either, you know. Here, that's close.
Solidly, you can read the name of the ball or the branding of the ball.
Mabocho in the meantime finds Shai. Dying moments, 2 minutes remaining in Hammarsdale. 2 goals scored by Le Montfort Golden Arrows, 2 victories in a row, twice at the top of the table, and twice with 3 points. That's how things look to be headed at the moment. To spoil the party, Marumo Gallants need to score twice within the next minute. That's not going to happen. Yeah, frustrating afternoon for Marumo Gallants. It might get even worse than that come Wednesday against Sundowns. But you know, strange football's a strange old thing. I don't think many people would have backed Le Montfort Golden Arrows with the sort of form that we've seen from Stellenbosch FC to have beaten them down in the Winelands, and now things starting to get a little bit testy. Shitolo's got a role to play here in calming the thing down. There is a late opportunity here for Marumo Gallants to at least pull a goal back. Now the referee is calling somebody into the office. Could be Gabadinho Mhango. He often loses the plot.
A short fuse is up there.
Short as his stature, short as is the fuse.
Obviously, I think looking for to take the set pieces in is the right type of angle to bend it into the far post with his right foot.
It was a little dummy run down the right-hand side, but the referee then put the whistle up in there and said, "You got to wait for this, mate." So, yeah, defending to be done by Edward Mayova. Successive clean sheets available for the Namibian goalkeeper. The Montfort Golden Arrows really casting a little bit of attention in the direction from the KwaZulu-Natal sides. AmaZulu and Richards Bay FC and Royal AM, the other contenders. Gabadinho Mhango. It's a comfortable save, really.
Very.
We've had the 4 minutes added on by referee Cedric Muvali. There can't be too much time remaining. In fact, there isn't. And that is the end of that. There's a yellow card to end the match for a Marumo Gallants player, and I think it might have been Siabelela Shah, maybe Mondi and Pampaniso. But Knox Mutizwa opened the scoring for Arrows 5 minutes before halftime. Sapia scored a second on the stroke of halftime with a header where he got away from the defenders of Marumo Gallants. 2 defensive errors, 2 goals, nothing in the second half, and back to the drawing board for Dan Malasela before what could be an enticing match against Mamelodi Sundowns. But anytime you play against a team at the top of the table or that has been dominant over the last 7 or 8 years, you have an opportunity to cause an upset, and maybe Dan Malasela comes up with the goods that will upset Mangoba and Gluti's side. But yeah, the way that things have happened for Dan Malasela so far in the season, it seems less likely than possible. Good outing for Gladwin Chitolo, clean sheet for Edward Mayova, probably the player of the match for the Montfort Golden Arrows as well. It's been a good start at home to the campaign for Golden Arrows, mirroring the rather fancy start away from home against Stellenbosch FC. Marumo Gallants lost at home, they lose away. They scored at home, they failed to score away from home. But I'm sure that the success will come at some stage for the very experienced Dan Malasela coach, if the Marumo Gallants management have the patience to give him the sort of start that he requires with the new squad that he's put together. All remains to be seen as far as that is concerned. Goals win football matches. 2 of them scored in the first half by Golden Arrows. Mutizwa and Sapia sew it up then for Abafana Bestende, who win this afternoon by 2-0.
Well, Lamontville Golden Arrows remains invincible up against the Marumo Gallants as they collected their second victory of the campaign. It is back-to-back victories for Abafana Bestende. Now joined by the Betway Premiership Man of the Match, it is Tabane Zuke from Lamontville Golden Arrows. Tabane, major congratulations. Today you really made sure that the team really stays in shape even when it was under pressure.
Ngithanda ukubonga kakhulu. Okokuqala nje ngithanda ukubonga abo coaches. Ngibonge nomndeni wami, ngibonge nama teammates wami wonke. Ngasho ukuthi le award akusiye yami kuphela. Yethu as a team, the way we played as a team. Sathatha ama instructions a coach, indlela and nendlela abesebenza ngayo ejimini throughout the week. So yeah, ngibonga kakhulu.
Asikhulume ngalokho, the way uncede i-team ngakhona namhlanje, especially because the team was really under pressure. Marumo Gallants having a lot of possession. Wenza sure ukuthi you stay intact.
Start ama instructions a coach, ne game plan yakho coach. And besazi ukuthi by team edlalayo and sibukile game yabo against Chiefs last week. So baya move nje, but Tina, what we had to do to maintain the shape, our wingers talk inside and defend as a team.
Definitely, it was very clear. Still early stages, but it is back-to-back victories for this team, yet to concede. I-confidence ihamba kuphi kwamanje?
Ngingasho ukuthi konke kuqala ejimini and nanokuthi nathi sijelile sakhuluma nje as i-team yonke. Last season asenzanga kahle, we conceded a lot of goals. So this season we want to make sure ukuthi even if we concede less than last season.
Ngibonga kakhulu, congratulations.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Tabane Zuko, who was very instrumental in today's game, ensuring that the team does keep their shape, especially because of the waves of attack from Marumo Gallants. I am now joined by his coach, Coach Mabudi Kanyeza. Coach, appreciate your time. Not an easy encounter at home, but the team pulled through.
I think we knew it was going to be difficult, like I said it earlier, because Galanti they only played last week on Saturday, and then us we played on Wednesday, and then again, conditions again. Like a bit challenging. From Cape Town, we play in the same conditions today again. But I think they fought Abafana. Need to give them credit. Again, out of position, we're very, very disciplined, dealing with some situations. Galant is a good team. They pass the ball, they move the ball around. Sometimes you need to just be disciplined, try